Hi, my name's David Taylor, or Mr Pelargonium as many of you like to call me. This week I'm back with another video for the Pelargonium and Geranium Society. I'm going to be looking in this video at a number of my new Regal varieties which are all now flowering. Well, not all, but most. I'm going to have a look at, just assess where my show plants are for the show, which is in 4 weeks' time. So let's have a go. Okay, well, it's nice to see you again. I'm back here. We've had a couple of weeks now of fairly sort of pleasant weather in the during the day. Still relatively chilly at night, so there's still just one or two leaves on the particularly on the zonals that are just beginning to colour off to a red state, just on the odd occasion. So I'm just taking them off. Here's an example here actually of one of my dwarfs. Seem to be affecting the dwarfs a bit. So I've got two leaves there that have got a red edge to them. This is all due to the cooler sort of weather that we get in the nights, because the nights are still relatively cool. So as I've not got many of them now, I'm just going round and picking them off as I see them. So I haven't got many that I can really see, but if you get near the red leaves, there shouldn't be too many now. If you see some, just strip them off, won't harm the plant at all. So yeah, just can carry on with defoliating the red leaves on any of the zonal plants in particular. Now, something that I've got a number of my new Regal varieties have begun to flower, and there's a few that are really quite interesting and some that I'm really sort of quite excited about. One of them being this one. We'll start with this one straight away. I particularly like this. This has got a white base with a sort of flame red blotch coming out of all of the petals. There's no sort of differentiation really between the top and the bottoms. This is a cross using the red Magnum seedling that I had, using the pollen from it on Ritchie, because as you know, they all come from the Regal Ritchie. But this is a really nice one. White base, there was no white at all, certainly on the Magnum seedling that I used. And that is looking pretty nice. I particularly like that one. I would say this is relatively unusual as well. I can't really recall ever seeing anything like that, really. I'm not saying I haven't seen something relatively similar. Another one that's really struck me is this one. Now this is sort of a coral pink all through, with sort of flame red, fully blotched upper petal, and the feather, the deep red feather running in the lower petals as well. Particularly like this one as well. This one's really taken my fancy, and I'm really into this one. Really like it a great deal. Now a couple more. This one is a lovely bright white, brilliant white. This is actually a cross between Zophia Pope as the pollen plant and obviously off Ritchie from the seedling parent. But this is pure white, a very brilliant white with small blotches of a sort of a purpley red on them, as may have been done, certainly probably been done before. One would argue it's fairly similar to, well, a little bit similar to Aztec, which is a very old variety. But I particularly like that one. The reason is it's a bit frilly, but it's a very, very brilliant white. It really is. And I've had this in the sun, no colour differentiation at all. And I really sort of quite like that. Whether it would have a future, because it's quite similar to a number of other whites, who knows, but it's a very brilliant white base, and I particularly like that. Right, now this one has got a slightly smaller bloom, and this is on a much more compact plant. This is shades of coral on quite a smallish bloom, but again it is quite nice. It's got full coverage of all the petals, have got deep blotching on them. There's no sort of, got a lot of Regals, you get good colour on the top, very little on the bottom, but nearly all of these have got universal round colouring. And I particularly, this is quite nice, and this is a very bushy plant. We'll have to see how the flowers go in terms of sort of fracturing with their colour, but in terms of a sort of compact plant, I think this could be, you know, pretty interesting. It's quite a nice one, nice perfect bobble head, bit smaller, but a nice compact variety with good balanced growth. And another one that's just shown its hand today, actually, this has just come out today. This is quite, you know, it's got the full coverage of bloom. The deep blotches on every single petal. This again is a little bit more of a compact variety. Right, this one was actually crossed with Elaine, which is you know, quite a nice plant, a good bushy plant, and that's sort of come through with Richie and Elaine. This has got a good balanced growth, and again a nice head. Similar, it's whether it's you know, been done before, and I'll have to have a good study of some of the images on the Pelargonium register. I'll have to make some decisions about what I'm going to take forward. But I may also leave it at Fibrex to have a look at some of them and see how we go from there. Right, now one of the ones that came out initially, you remember the one that I thought looked a little bit like Beryl Reed. This is now a full head, and that, believe it or not, is just one head. I'm actually really quite impressed with this. Again, it's quite a sturdy, strongish plant, but that has done very well. Absolutely no sign of any shatter on any of even the slightly older blooms, and I'm really quite impressed with this as well. Right, now in terms of my my exhibition plants, we're 4 weeks away now from the national show. I think I'm probably going to be pushing it, certainly with my Regals. I mean, a number of my Regals are at long last beginning to bud up. This one, say, in particular, oh, they're quite heavy because I watered them this morning, but this one's not doing too bad. What one is this? This is actually another one of my old seedlings, strangely. This has got a white base and has never been released, but it's made a good shape and is just beginning to hit into bloom. The buds are up. 1 or 2, I would think, will probably be out in about a week. They may have to come off because of 3 weeks. You know, you're sort of pushing it. A 3 weeks time, in basically a week's time, we have to make the decision. Generally, you would take out open blooms, open pips, just the pips. Take any open ones out, and then in the 3 weeks that follow, you know, you let everything run away. But that one's looking quite good in terms of bloom coverage. But 1 or 2 are pushing it. I mean, there is no sign. The blooms are tiny at the base of the plant, at the base of each of the stems. Quite a good shape, but that will not be ready in 4 weeks. I very much doubt it. I mean, it's surprising how quick they will come through now, but I think that one certainly, and strangely, I think most of them are Elsie Taylor, which is a really nice one that I bred that was released by Fibrex last year. But yeah, I'm going to be pushing it, I think, with getting some of these through for show. They all look really good about a week or 2 later, but that's Elsie Taylor, that one. But yeah, it's interesting. But again, the other strange thing, as I've mentioned a number of times, they were stopped in early December. Utterly crazy. Whether it was this month that they lost when they were cooped up in the garage, I don't know. But none of my Regals, they were all stopped, I would say, are ahead of the game. So they were stopped, as I said before, at about 27, 28 weeks. Utterly bizarre in show terms, but just goes to show you how different conditions can make such a lot of difference. Now, zonals too, few blooms now beginning to push up. That's point south, which is always makes a very good plant for me. I mean, this has got fantastic shape. That certainly won't have any open pips, I would have thought, in a week's time at the 3-week level. And I would think that's probably debatable again as to whether that's going to be ready. But then that is a bit more acceptable because they were stopped as double zonals. They were stopped late at 16 weeks before show. Now, there is another show more locally to me, the Bristol show, which is usually a fantastic show. Now, I would think the chances of me having anything ready for that are going to be very minimal. But that's just one of those things. It's just not worked out for me this year. But we'll have to see. As I say, it's surprising what does happen in a couple of weeks. Now, I have got a dwarf here. This is Shrivenham Star. Now, I know there were one or two that I didn't actually stop. And I think this must be one of them. It's just coming into bloom. But there's not a lot of heads coming up. So, yeah, it's certainly not of a sort of top standard, but we'll have to keep an eye on that one, see how it develops. But certainly, say, in terms of the Bristol show, that's about as near as I'm going to get to anything, really, in terms of being ready to show. Now, something that has happened, which is a bit strange, is that a lot of the actual flower stems, particularly on some of the stellas, have been very sort of almost pathetic. They've only had about 3 or 4 pips on each one. That's the individual little flowers. The pip is just the individual little flower that sticks out the top of the peduncle that holds them. I mean, I'm actually sort of disappointed because certainly most of these will be stripped off at the 3 weeks time next week. And I mean, the body of the plant is pretty decent. This is sort of like a basic Stella. But, yeah, I don't know. It's something that they've not quite liked, but some of these heads are a bit pathetic. Doesn't seem to have affected the main zonal plants. They're throwing big heads as usual. But the Stellas, although the bodies have been brilliant, and I haven't actually suffered as much with the red leaf scenario on them this year, and Stellas are often the ones that really suffer from it. But blooms, the initial blooms that have come have been a bit pathetic, so they're all probably going to be stripped off at the 3-week spell, and we just have to hope that they forward on after that. But now, variegated leaf plants, I grow a few. I don't grow a great deal, but can be a little bit temperamental sometimes, but others are relatively, you just need to get older ones that grow relatively easily. And this is a plant called Oliver Welfare. This was bred by Andrew Simmons, who used to run Warren North Nursery, for any of you older folk that knew the nurseries back in the day. Now, something that you need to remove are pure white leaves on variegated zonals. Because they take energy from the plant. They're sort of what are known as ghost leaves. There's a tiny one. It's really small. Let me see if I can find a bigger one. But you need to get them off because they take energy from the plant, but there's actually no chlorophyll in the leaf. And it's taken energy for the plant to keep it there and grow on. There's a good example of one. Pure white. So don't be tempted to keep them on because they really do sap the plant of energy. And, you know, you need to ensure, particularly if you get virtually a whole stem, you can sometimes get a whole stem with the virtually all white. You need to cut that out because taking a lot of energy for the plant to keep that going, but there's no chlorophyll in it. And it's really stunting the growth of variegated leaf types. So just be careful of that. Okay, well, that's about it from me for now. I'm sure I'll have a few more Regals coming out in the next few days, so I'm sure I'll chuck in another video. And we'll see my progress as we head towards the show. So see you again soon.